popular graphic novel series written in Chinese, sort of manga type, called The Tales of Afanti. When he took this home, he loved them. He started reading them in Mandarin, in Chinese. He got his mother to read the stories to him. He made a deal with his mother. She would read the stories to him while he did the dishes. Now that's true interest for you. Okay? As she read through the stories, his Mandarin started getting better and better from the input. When they ran out of Afanti, which took a while because Christie kept feeding him Afanti, similar books, when they finally ran out, it all stopped. His Mandarin started to decline again. The important thing is that Jack was never interested in Mandarin. He was neutral. He didn't like it, he didn't dislike it. He wasn't interested. He liked the story. That's what counted. Jack taught us. Jack taught us something that everyone in the world knows except language teachers. Nobody cares about language. Only us. We tell kids, you really should learn English. It's so good for you, get a job. They don't care. But get a story, and they will acquire whether they like it or not involuntarily if they're wrapped up in the story. I got more case histories. The next one on your handout is a kid named Paul. I'll tell you the truth about Paul, since we're now BFF, I can tell you. Paul is actually Vincent, who's Christie's son. I'll tell you about how Paul grew up. Christie's family, Christie is a native speaker of Cantonese. She's also very good at Mandarin. Her husband speaks Cantonese. And mom and dad, her parents, live with them now for years, and they're speakers of Cantonese. So Paul grew up in the San Francisco area, and he and his brother grew up bilingual English, Cantonese, and comfortable with both. Now, when he was a little kid, mom and dad were working a lot. Tough times, as many of you know. And they occasionally would hire a babysitter. The babysitter would come in, turn on the TV to Mandarin cartoons. Now, Mandarin and Cantonese are not the same language. They're different languages. They're not dialects. They're different languages. I think they're not as close as Spanish and Portuguese. They're probably about as close as Spanish and French. I think that's a better thing. Or if you know Spanish, you get a nice head start with French and vice versa, but it does not guarantee comprehension. It just helps you a little here and there. So, but with a little bit of vocabulary, similar in both languages, cognates, and TV, cartoons, highly comprehensible, and the occasional help of the caretaker, the babysitter, he was understanding the cartoons. After the cartoons, as he grew up, he started watching children's programs in Mandarin. Later on, Dad would bring home series of more teenage type things, and eventually adult series, and eventually movies. Dad and Paul and his brother spent hours watching Mandarin on television. And in fact, in high school, because he has a very good relationship with his grandparents, they all watch the news in the evening in Mandarin. Today, Paul speaks Mandarin quite well. Christie says he's got a slight Cantonese accent, but he's pretty good. When guests come over and they're Mandarin speakers, he has no trouble. They've gone to China several times, in Taiwan. He has no problem at all communicating. He's comfortable, he's fluent, etc. Paul doesn't care about Mandarin. This is my main point. He doesn't care about Mandarin. He cared about the programs. In fact, he's entirely neutral about being Chinese. It's fine. It's neither here nor there. It's just that he doesn't have this great desire to connect with all aspects of Chinese culture. In addition to Cantonese, get Mandarin because I really should do that. No, that's people like us. He didn't do that. It was the stories that counted. Now, the one that's first on the list that I gave you is a Finnish study I kind of discovered by accident. These researchers discovered a little girl, a young lady, let's say 10, 11 years old, who for 4 years had been watching cartoons in English in Finland. They tested her competence. They looked at the nature of the cartoons, a very deep, detailed study. First of all, her story. The cartoons came on weekends, so she would record the cartoons so she could watch them during the week. She was a fanatic about cartoons. Oh, for 6 years, some days she would watch cartoons all day long, 5-6 hours a day, especially on weekends. This was her passion. When they tested her English, this is someone who didn't get this in English class in school, didn't speak English with anyone. Her mom knew some English, but they didn't speak English. Her English was great. They said her fluency and her pronunciation and her grammar were either native or near native just from the cartoons. They gave her tests that they give kids in school. She was over the top on all of them. Again, her goal was not to learn English. Her goal was loving the cartoons. You're getting the point now. In these cases, when you get compelling, comprehensible input, language acquisition is a byproduct. I've added a couple of more cases from my best-selling book, soon to be a major motion picture, The Power of Reading. Let me put in a word about my books and what I'm doing with them. I'm not writing them anymore because nobody buys them. And the reason nobody buys them is that they're too expensive. So I got a new policy now. It's all on my website. sdkrashen.com. Operators are standing up. No, just go to sdkrashen.com, and I'm trying my best to put up all the. Don't ask for my permission. You can download them for any purpose you like. You know, weddings, birthdays.